Hello there. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your host for the next half hour. We're still in the throes of COVID-19 contagion, but we are not daunted. We are Jamaicans, little but with Talawa. We have an indomitable spirit that will not allow this disease to overtake us. We all can and must take a stand against COVID-19. That means adhering to the curfew orders, practicing proper hygiene, and wearing a mask when in public. And while you're at it, let's show our fellow citizens the warmth and compassion tourists flock the island to experience by not discriminating against those who are dealing with or have recovered from COVID-19. We are in this together. Let's continue to be COVID-19 strong.
We really need to cut the hate and work together as a country, as communities to overcome. I really do not want to hear about any case of persons threatening people, abusing persons because they hear that they have the virus. And also for healthcare workers, we don't want to hear that we are also not cooperating with our healthcare workers.
As Jamaica grapples with COVID-19, we want to ensure that if you are infected or employing measures to keep free of the disease, you are armed with the necessary tools to win the fight. One sure way of doing just that is by fortifying your health.
The novel coronavirus 2019 or COVID-19 is a respiratory illness that may present with a fever, dry cough, and tiredness. Persons may experience more severe symptoms such as shortness of breath and difficulty breathing. One of the best ways to fight this disease is by boosting your body's immune system. Giving yourself a healthy head start could be the difference between life and death. As we look at how we can stave off or reduce the effects of COVID-19 and other respiratory illnesses like this disease, we have compiled a list of ways to optimize the functioning of our immune system. First things first, get regular rest. Sleeping between 6 to 8 hours helps improve the body's immune function, mental health, and regulate weight while increasing productivity. Next up, exercise. Physical activity improves one's mood while increasing energy levels in the body. Managing stress is another weapon against sickness. When we are anxious, the body's disease-fighting defenses are reduced. Keep hydrated. Yes, the body doesn't function properly when it doesn't have enough fluids. You may maintain adequate water levels in your body by consuming water, fruits and vegetables with high water content, as well as soup. If you suffer from any health condition, be on top of your medication and stick to the management plan that's been decided on with your doctor. Another tip, you are what you eat. If you consume too much alcohol, sugary drinks, and processed foods, the body's defenses will lack the right micro and macronutrients to function properly. That's why it's absolutely important that we have a balanced diet. Incorporating items from all the food groups allow the body to glow, grow, and go. There are some foods, however, that are rich in vitamins and minerals which help to power up the body's natural immunity. Noted for its immune-boosting qualities, foods rich in vitamin C help the body produce white blood cells, which ward off or shorten the length of infections. Citrus fruits such as oranges, lemons, tangerines, lime, and grapefruit are rich in vitamin C. But even richer in the vitamin are cherries and red sweet pepper. Local fruits and vegetables such as Tahiti apple, guava, pineapple, papaya, June plum, soursop, cauliflower, cabbage, and Irish potato are also rich in vitamin C. As an antioxidant, vitamin E helps to prevent cell damage and regulate the function of one's immune system. Pear, peanut, olive oil, and almonds are among the foods with high vitamin E content. Foods with anti-inflammatory properties help treat respiratory illnesses, so it's best to add cinnamon, tomato, ginger, turmeric, flaxseed, strawberry, and garlic to your diet. Vitamin A is a key ingredient in the body's infection-fighting arsenal as it helps with vision, repair, growth, and reproduction. In addition to spinach and kale, foods such as carrots, mangoes, pumpkin, sweet potato, and cantaloupe are rich in vitamin A. Another immuno-boosting vitamin can be found in milk, egg, cheese, tofu, yogurt, and fortified cereals, vitamin D. The vitamin is also present in fish such as tin mackerel, tuna, sardine, and salmon. B vitamins are a critical part of the body's red blood cell production. They help to convert food into energy while maintaining healthy body tissues. Banana, sunflower seeds, watermelon, chicken, turkey, goat meat, liver, and red peas are rich in vitamin B. Zinc allows our body's immune cells to function properly while reducing inflammation. Foods rich in zinc include shellfish such as crab, lobster, and mussels. Zinc is also present in peas and beans, nuts, seeds, as well as dark meat including beef and pork. Practicing proper personal hygiene is also an important part of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. That includes regular hand washing and the use of hand sanitizer if water and soap is not available. Sneeze or cough into your elbow or cover with tissue that should be discarded in a bin. Avoid touching your mouth, eyes, or nose. And be sure to practice social distancing. You are your first line of defense against COVID-19. For your health's sake, start practicing good healthy habits today.
Go on, I work for the fitness, man. No, the fitness. I'm a care fitness, man. I'm paying a tax officer.
Oh. Yeah. But you don't have to run, man.
No respect.
No, man. You mean you don't have to go in there, man. You can pay vehicle fitness online.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. THG, I make it easy for you now. You know, so now the excuse.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. Respect, man. Hey, you still have to work on your fitness doing now.
I'm going to deal with it online.
Transformation is happening across the public sector. Many services are now available online. We are building a better public service for all. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
So even as most of our focus is on the novel coronavirus, other medical issues still need our attention. For this next one, which is particularly important for children, proper and frequent hand washing is also one of the best lines of defense.
Deworming is the process of giving worm medicine to an individual to get rid of parasites such as roundworm and tapeworm. While the focus is usually on children, adults should also be dewormed. Consultant pediatrician at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Dr. Sandrika Young-Peart, tells us why this process is important, signs to look for, and the impact of these worms to our health.
When we talk about worms, we're talking about multiple different types. We may talk about the roundworm, the pinworm, or we can talk about the whipworm. And these are just some of the few worms that exist. The worms can actually cause a disease burden on our society, and the complications of having worm infestations are numerous and problematic. It affects how our children may concentrate and may be able to learn. There are actually documented findings that it actually affects your cognitive and your physical development and your ability to concentrate in school. And so it's actually important that we actually rid our children of these parasites. According to the WHO, approximately 800 million children are actually affected by worms each year. So what are some of the signs that a person may have worms? Symptoms could be what we commonly think about, like grinding of the teeth. They may be itching their anus, right? They may actually have weight loss. They may feel very tired and fatigued. And these are just some of the symptoms that may give you an indication that your child may have worm. They may not have any signs at all. Or they can have other signs and symptoms, such as vomiting, abdominal swelling or distension, diarrhea, or constipation. If the worms actually form balls, they can actually block the intestines, and that can either cause constipation and cause the child to vomit. They can also present with wheezing, and we may think they are actually asthmatics, but it's actually the worms that have migrated into the lungs to cause obstruction of the airway and cause the child to wheeze. So how do they get infected? They may get infected either by eating or drinking contaminated water or food. If there is inadequate or improper waste disposal, and if we don't wash our hands before we eat or drink food. And there's a particular worm that you can actually get if you actually walk barefooted. So that is also something to bear in mind. And so it's actually important that we actually give our children worm medicine so we can actually target getting rid of these worms and actually reducing the worm burden in our society. You can deworm your children twice per year. You should actually give them worm medicine, and all the persons who are in the household should also get the worm medicine at the same time. It is important that our adults also be treated or dewormed, because we can be asymptomatic, meaning that we don't have any symptoms at all, but we can still be carriers of worms. And when we excrete or pass our feces, especially sometimes when we do it inappropriately, we may pass out the eggs of these worms. Then our cows or poultry or pigs may actually ingest these when they feed. And then that's a vicious cycle. And should our children be playing in the areas where waste is inadequately disposed, then they too can actually pick up the eggs or the larvae on their fingers. And if they don't wash their hands before they eat, or while they're in the midst of playing, they may actually put their fingers in their mouth, then they too can actually ingest these worms. So how can you prevent your child from getting worms? It's difficult, but there are some basic tips that we can actually do to reduce the chance of our children getting these serious worm infections and having the complications. Basic hand washing before eating our food, allowing our children not to walk barefooted, allowing our children not to play with the pets, especially if their pets are not treated quite frequently. And importantly, proper hygiene. Ensure that our waste is disposed properly. So it's pretty important that we all get on board as adults so we can actually reduce the worm burden and the impact on our society.
Zoom, Google Classroom, and WhatsApp are some of the ways teachers are keeping students engaged during this period. Find out how you can keep your child occupied next.
Schools are closed and you're seeing more of your children. I get it. The idea of being cooped up with them all day can be daunting or overwhelming. But there's hope. In a moment, we will share a host of engaging activities for your children while they're at home. Structure and regularity are good remedies for manufacturing calmness in times of distress. So here's a structure for a child. Let's start with creating a schedule that lays out time for studying, chores, eating, of course, fun activities, and downtime. Incorporate new gaming activities into your child's routine, like puzzles and game boards such as Monopoly and Ludi. Charades and ABC Fast and Slow, Chinese Skip and Jump Ropes are also entertaining games that have the added benefit of getting them moving so that they're exercising without even realizing it. This works better for younger children. They are attracted by a range of colors and experiments. So how about you engage them with some drawings and paintings, bringing their artistic sides to life? Creating science projects is also a good way to work the minds while engaging your children. Music is perfect to get the young ones up and engaged. Plus, there are many studies suggesting that learning music helps children with their academics. Some musical games to explore include karaoke, musical chairs, and musical trivia. This is also a good way to teach them about their rich musical heritage. This may be the perfect time to teach your children how to prepare their favorite meals. If they already know how, then all the better getting expert hands on board. So here's the plan. Get a cookbook and get them involved. This could make them feel that they are making a valuable contribution to the family. As a parent, you would already know the value in exercise and working out, so how about encouraging your children to create a workout routine, do some yoga or dance routine, and keep them moving. It might not be such a bad thing to allow your children to keep in touch with their peers or friends and keep a strong support network. If they wish to call or text friends and families, let them do so. Just monitor them. Socializing helps to regulate your mood and stay grounded, and that's as true for children as it is for adults. Some of these activities require the involvement of a responsible adult, but for those that do not, monitoring is still important for safety. Remember that different activities apply to different age groups, so ensure that you check on them in between all their playtime activities and ensure that all is going according to plan. Also, remember you can split the monitoring work between parents and/or older siblings. One parent or older sibling can monitor the children in the morning, while another person takes over in the afternoon. With that said, all the best.
We hope you've been wearing masks while in public, and with this recommendation, we urge you to follow these guidelines.
The government has been getting not necessarily requests, but persons seeking an understanding of government's position on the wearing of masks, and I'm going to invite the CMO to give us her guidance on this matter.
The Ministry of Health recommends the use of personal protective equipment by healthcare personnel. Our immediate priority is to secure personal protective equipment for health workers who are exposed by close contact with persons who are ill. Close contact means that health workers are within the 6 feet distance from their patients, and the wearing of personal protective equipment protects them from exposure. They cannot avoid close contact in order to care for patients, and that is why personal protective equipment are a must. The proper use of personal protective equipment by the health worker reduces the risk from high risk to no risk, even in environments of highest possible exposure. But even the highest trained healthcare worker has to be trained repeatedly in the donning and doffing of personal protective equipment. And the area where there is one of the greatest risk of infection is in the removal of a contaminated mask. The general public is encouraged to avoid close contact with possibly infected persons by several measures, including stay at home, avoid crowded situations, and avoid ill persons. Now, many persons are advocating for the routine wearing of masks by the general public. And yes, we agree that it can be helpful. It does offer some protection, especially where there are persons who are coughing and sneezing within your 3 to 6 feet personal space. It is not totally harmless, however, and the public must be cautious. Wearing a mask continuously is uncomfortable, and you must avoid touching and adjusting the mask, as If the mask is contaminated, you will contaminate your hands and infect yourselves and others. Perform hand hygiene every time you touch the mask. As soon as there is contamination of the mask, it must be discarded, as the risk gets higher of you contaminating yourself. If the mask is not worn properly, it will go up into your eyes. Do not rub or touch your eyes after touching the mask. Again, hand sanitize after touching the mask. Discard the mask if it becomes soiled or moist. This increases your risk of infecting yourself and others. You may be taking germs on the mask into several different settings and increasing the risk of transmission. Remove the mask by grasping the loops that are either at the back of your head or behind your ears and pulling forward and away from your face. Do not touch the front of the mask. The Ministry of Health and Wellness recommends the use of masks by persons who are ill with coughing and sneezing, persons who are quarantined or isolated at home with or without respiratory symptoms, and household members who care for the person or are in the same house. Persons who have COVID-19 and have been discharged from hospital should wear a mask for 2 weeks after they have been released and exercise infection protection control measures to safeguard family members. Persons who are at high risk of developing severe illness and complications of illnesses, such as the elderly and persons with chronic illnesses. These persons must avoid ill persons and minimize contact with the public. All other considerations are at the public's discretion. The wearing of the mask must be in addition to other infection control measures, such as regular hand washing and hand sanitizing, covering coughs and sneezes, and avoid touching your faces and avoid contact with ill persons.
A facial barrier can be helpful, whether it is a medical type mask like an N95 or maybe something like this, or probably something like this. It's a pretty nice looking mask. However, there are risks associated with them, and they are not substitutes for good practices that we have been saying. Washing the hands with soap and water. If you don't have, then sanitize. If you have to cough or sneeze, then the bend of your elbow is best, and don't touch anyone else afterwards. Maintaining your social distance. All of that is good. This would be in addition to. But the mask is a surface. And particularly in a situation where it is blocking the particles from coming in, they will rest on the surface. And like any other surface, the virus will live on it. So you have to be careful in, as you say, doffing, that is taking it off. So you can't hold the mask like this to take it off. You should take it off from here. If you're going to make that personal decision, then you should firstly seek not to deprive the medical professionals who would need the mask. But outside of that, it's your personal choice, bearing in mind the guidance that we have given.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, Let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
We know the stay-in-place orders have been trying, but it is for our own health and safety. We cannot overemphasize how important it is that we practice the protocols that have been established to combat COVID-19. Social distancing, frequent hand washing, using hand sanitizers when water and soap are unavailable, wearing a mask in public and only venturing outdoors when it's absolutely necessary. That is, for food, to work, to get medication, or seek medical attention. We urge you to continue to hold strain and use your time at home to connect with your families. Upgrade your skills through online training. Exercise more. Eat healthier. Finish the project around the home that has been languishing. And yes, get some well-needed rest and relaxation. After all, we are in this together. We all must play our part to maintain Jamaica as the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. That's all the time we have for you on this station. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another informative field show. Join us at your leisure online. There is our website, our social media pages, YouTube, and of course our mobile app that's smartphone compatible. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to help flatten the curve and tanner your yard.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.